So welcome to the International Women in Engineering Day webinar. It is noon now, the official start time. I'm Dr. Debbie Roberts, and I will be the MC for this session. So I would like to acknowledge that UBC Okanagan is situated in the territory of the Syilx Okanagan Nation and their peoples. I would also like to acknowledge that you are joining today from many places near and far, and acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. I would like to thank our panelists for sharing their valuable time with us today. We have Dr. Mina Hoorfar, Professor and Director of the School of Engineering, Dr. Sumi Siddiqua, Associate Director of Graduate Studies for the School of Engineering, and two wonderful School of Engineering alumni. Shaylene Dekock is an electrical engineer for BC Hydro, and Sabrina Moore is a civil engineer working for 360 Energy Liability Management in Calgary. So we are glad you are joining us and welcome your questions and comments as we go. If this is your first Zoom webinar, you will see at the bottom of your screen a Q&A with the little balloon icons. If you click on that, you will be able to type in your questions and or vote up or other people's questions, and then we will answer them as we go along. To get started, the theme for the International Women in Engineering Day is Shape the World. And so to start us off, I would like our panelists to answer the question, what does shape the world mean to you? Shaylene, I think we'll start with you.
Great, thanks, Debbie. Shape the world to me means using our existing tools, skills, resources to better shape the existing status quo and infrastructure around us into a better version. Just like most living things on Earth, the world is always evolving. And what I've learned as an engineer so far is that each person brings a different set of perspectives, skills, and abilities based on their own unique experiences. And the more diverse your team is, the better project delivery.
Thank you very much. Sabrina, would you like to give your views?
Definitely. I think I really agree with what Shaylene said, and I think it's a really good way to find ways to make positive change. And I think that we can all, especially as engineers, have a big impact on people's day-to-day. And I think that, especially in our careers, that we have the ability to impact change. So I think shape the world to me means making a positive change with what we do every day.
Thank you. Dr. Siddiqua.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts, and nice comments from our alumni. I have a few points I just want to make. First of all, I want to see gender equality in my engineering classroom and also in the profession itself. Also, I want to see, based on our knowledge about modern tools and innovation technology, we would like to deal with mitigate the climate change impact more carefully, understand better about it. I want to see no environmental pollution, zero waste, and I want to see fresh water supply or the clean water supply in remote locations all over the world. So if we can achieve some of those, most of those, then we will see a happy planet. So in short, if I just say, shape the world means happy planet for us and for future. That's what I believe.
Thank you very much. Dr. Hoorfar.
Thank you so much, Dr. Roberts. And I apologize ahead of time that I put my avatar picture. My camera is not working. I'm using a very old computer as my son stole my computer. But nevertheless, shape the world to me, I wanted to talk about the empathy aspect of the skills in engineering. So taking care of each other. And as our panelists mentioned, not from engineering point of view, but also from humanitarian point of view to make a difference. We engineers not only carry the torch for our knowledge for looking for problems and changing the world, we also have to think about from the empathy point of view to take care of each other. So for me, making the world better in terms of taking care of each other, that means shaping the world.
Thank you very much. You guys have all provided excellent answers, inspirational comments. I was going to start with mine, but I'm nervous being the MC for this. But one of the things I wanted to say is, as an educator, I agree with everything that everyone said, but I also feel that I am able to help shape the world by helping students learn some of the tools and experiences. And as Dr. Hoorfar mentioned, engineering education is broadening. It's not all just math and calculations. That we're working on very hard on having engineers exercise their humanity as part of what our work is. And so our next question is a little more personal for each one. Tell us about your journey to becoming an engineer. And this one, we're going to start with Sabrina.
That's a hard question to start with. My journey is a little bit unique in that I didn't always want to be an engineer. I wanted to be a teacher. I really like teaching. And my dad actually encouraged me to go into engineering because he said, you know, you're really good in math and science. You should do that. Like, I think that you would be good at that. And I was like, no. And I think as a young girl, you're often intimidated by math and science and kind of technical jargon and the thought of maybe working in the field or kind of having a hands-on job. And so I kind of had to get past that. And so once I did, I started at UBCO in 2013. And I think Shaylene started the same year as me, actually. I think we graduated together. And I ended up doing civil engineering just because my dad has worked in construction forever, and I was able to kind of have a little bit of hands-on experience hanging out with him, and I really enjoyed it. And so once I graduated in 2017, I moved back to Calgary, and I actually got a job working for a construction company, and I realized that wasn't for me. And I found that there were kind of larger challenges being an engineer in a construction firm. As a woman anyways, and maybe that was just the experience I had, but then I ended up getting on at 360, which is a liability management firm, and we have a large environmental aspect. And so like Dr. Siddiqua said, you know, you can kind of impact the earth in a positive way when you work in that department. So now I'm doing that and I love it. So that's kind of my journey to engineering anyways.
Thank you very much. Dr. Siddiqua, what was your journey like?
Okay, I always wanted to be an engineer from whenever I remember. It's probably grade 5 or even earlier. So my whole journey as an engineer, it is very exciting. It still is, and it was and is, and very thrilling because I did my bachelor from my home country in Bangladesh, and I always know that I have to travel the world. I have to learn from different institutes and get knowledge from different institutes, how they teach, how their education system is. At the same time, also learn about different cultures, because if you are in a home with your family, you know about only a few things. But if you mix with other people, get to know others and learn from everyone. I've been privileged to go to some of the best universities in the world. I learned from their unique education system, and also learn from surroundings, society, community, and the culture. I think both of these helped me to nurture my thoughts about engineering. My vision, it changed, it matured a lot. And I also have learned how to look for the impact of engineering, how it impacts our activities, how it impacts human life and surroundings. So it was a big journey, but I just wanted to make it short. So I just wanted to say that I have learned from different culture and different institutes, society, and that I'm implementing when I'm working in Canada. I found home in Canada because I love people here. I love the beautiful, outside activities. So that's my place right now.
Thank you, and we're glad you found home here. Shaylene, how has your journey been?
Oh, I think I'm unmuted now. Okay. So similar to Sabrina, I actually didn't always want to become an engineer. I originally actually wanted to become a doctor. So my first year of university was actually spent at UBCO in their sciences program. And it wasn't until like I met my roommate, and she was actually her boyfriend was an engineer. And then I started learning about like what the engineering program was. And then about midway through my first year of sciences, I ended up switching into engineering. Yeah, I just looked into engineering, learned, what type of career it would lead to. It was nice because, it's only a 4-year program if you don't do the co-op. And yeah, it was just what I wanted to do. So I graduated from UBCO in 2017, and now I've been with BC Hydro for 3 years now. I finished their engineering training program last year, and I've been in my home department for about a year now. And yeah, I've been loving it.
Congratulations on completing the EIT program.
Thank you.
Dr. Hoorfar, how about your journey?
Yeah, and it seems that there is majority here. I'm like Sabrina and Shaylene. I didn't want to be an engineer. I wanted to be an architect. So in Iran, there is a sort of examination that you have to do in your last year of high school. And based on your score, you are going to certain programs. So I didn't make it to become an architecture. So I made it to engineering, and I forced myself. After a couple of years of failure, finally I got into it. And I still remember there was a course which changed my mind about engineering, and that was a design course, conceptual design course about environment. And the way that the professor approached us was to think about the design that you have in mind without going through calculation. And that brought what I'm interested in, which was art at that moment, into engineering for me. And that made my career as an engineer. And then now, what makes the engineer very attractive to me is seeing the young engineers every day, students passionate like you and the panelists, and being an educator and seeing that I can make a difference and train the next future engineers. That I think make me happy every day to be in this profession.
Thank you, Dr. Hoorfar. So this is the end of one question. We do have a question from the audience at this time. I'm going to rephrase it a little bit. The question is, what can professors, technicians, and support staff do in a tangible way to help ensure that women are getting the most out of their engineering education? And I'd like to rephrase it a little bit for Sabrina and Shaylene, if you want to answer, what did professors, technicians, and support staff do? And for Dr. Siddiqua and Dr. Hoorfar, what can we do? What are we doing? And Dr. Siddiqua, you're nodding. Would you like to start?
Oh, okay. Perfect. So not only for women students in our class, we are very accessible to any students in the classroom when we are teaching. Moreover, I always, if I just give my example, I always pay special attention to my female students to see whether when they are working in a team, they are vocal, they are giving their information to their group mates, or they are not only taking care of the notes or other reports, but also participating in hands-on activities. Our technicians are very helpful during the lab sessions, and our TAs are well trained when they are doing their lab activities to take care of special attention given to all the female students in our classroom, in our classes. So we make sure that all our students are receiving the best knowledge that we want to provide, and we are always accessible to our students. So if anyone is feeling they want to talk to one of their instructors personally, they are always welcome to come and talk to us. And when they come and talk to us, we try to solve their problem. So this is how we try to handle any situation that arises. But so far, what I have faced, and I always able to solve their issues. So that's probably a tangible way to look into the problem. I think our students can also give some ideas.
Shaylene?
Yeah, I can chime in here. Yeah, I honestly think UBC Okanagan, they do like an exceptional job of, not only the professors, but the TAs always having office hours. I definitely spent a lot of time in most of my professors' offices, and ended up developing friendships with them in the end too. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I do think that UBCO does an exceptional job of that as well. I know there's also the Women in Engineering like network that they have there, and they host a lot of great events where you can meet other girls in your class. Sometimes I think it's kind of hard to meet some of the girls in your class because we're all kind of spaced out between our groups, but I did end up meeting like some really good girlfriends at those networking events.
Thank you very much. And I will say one thing, I am moderating this session because I am one of the EDI advisors to the director. And EDI is Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And we have instituted training for all faculty, all TAs, and all graduate students and staff on not just gender issues, also racial, and the idea that we all need to treat everybody equally. And so I think we weren't really in a bad place. And I think the department, the leadership of Dr. Hoorfar, we are going to even better places to be even more diverse and even more inclusive in that everyone gets all the help they need. Would anyone else like to answer to that question?
Yeah, I can chime in. When this question came up, I tried to remember when I was a student, how I felt in the engineering program. And I wanted to be honest, I was scared to death to ask questions, raise my hand in the class. There were only less than 5% female in my class at that time. We're doing much better. So we didn't have any female professor. So what I feel is that as one of the School of Engineering faculty member, I would like to see more role model. If the question is specifically about the female, means that hiring more technician staff and faculty female, so the students can relate to them. That's one thing. And the other one, no matter is a female faculty or female staff or female technician or male, we need to provide environment that the students, male or female, they feel safe and they feel that they can raise their questions, they can ask, and they can flourish. Because without asking questions, without doing mistakes, you won't learn. That's the reality. So holding back, that only comes from the environment that we are in. So I think I have this vision that if one day I can see or a student can ask questions without any fear of their peers or even their faculty or technician or staff, that would be the day for me. So this is something we need to really work. And I'm glad Dr. Roberts took the job of the co-chair for the EDI as a role model for our female student, and she's pushing it, and hopefully we will have wonderful result by the end of her tenure in that situation.
From my experience, I feel like UBC does a really good job of showcasing their female faculty, and I've had amazing female professors, and even the male professors that I did have when I was there, I never felt nervous or scared to go ask questions or be a part of a group. And I think what's really nice, and had been when I was at UBCO, was the class sizes were still really small, so you really got a really good sense of community among your peers, male or female. But I think UBCO does a really good job of including everybody.
Oh, I'm like, oh, thank you very much for your answers, everyone. So there is one more question from the panelists before we go on to the next one. It says, I have opted Bachelor of Science for my undergrad, but my basics are not clear. Any tips so that I shall perform exceptionally well during my undergrad? I want to make my career in computer science. Anyone like to answer that one?
Maybe I can chime in. I just wanted to clarify from the audience who put the question. When you refer to basics, what do you mean by basics are not clear? But I can, maybe this is a bigger question, but I can say that you wanted to get or become career in computer science. Maybe I'm too biased towards engineering, but I think whatever you make in engineering, you can be anything else you want in your life. And I have an example for you. During this COVID time, I had to learn haircut, to do the haircut on my son and my husband. I can say that I did much better than the people in the barbershop. Maybe I'm too proud of myself. I don't know. As an engineer, when you see a problem, you go after it and you solve it, because the way that we train you during the 4 or 5 years that you are in the school, we don't just teach you math, physics, calculus, coding. We teach you how to approach a problem, how to solve it. And that skill will be with you for the rest of your life, no matter what kind of career you're going to have. If you love to have the career in computer science, you can take the engineering and then take the minor in the computer science. And I guarantee that would be much better option than if you just go to science and do the computer science. Again, I'm biased maybe towards the engineering, but that would be my advice to you.
And I'll add one piece in here. The advice I give to every student who wants to go into university: if you want to do well, you have to work. You have to do the readings, you have to do the work, you have to do the homeworks. You have to do more than the problems they assign you, so you get really good at it. If you want to do well, exceptionally well, you want to do exceptionally well. So that means you're going to work exceptionally hard. But it's going to be rewarding because you're doing what you want to do. So that's my little answer to that one. So I will go on to our next question for the panel. And that is, what inspires you about engineering? And Dr. Hoorfar, I'd like to start with you with this one.
Yeah, I think I alluded to that in my answer to the question from the audience. What inspired me is that non-stop, when I'm looking outside, I try to find problem and solve. And I love that habit of doing it. I know it might be a little bit tiring, but you're looking at the world from different lens. Very optimistic lens, but always trying to make it better. So that makes the engineering very enjoyable. Of course, you're not always successful to make it better. It's a long process. Your first design doesn't work. Your second one doesn't work. But that kind of thinking in your brain shape up your character, your whole life in a way that you're always towards solving problems. And that inspires. That's the most enjoyable part of the engineering for me.
Thank you, Dr. Hoorfar. Sabrina, what inspires you?
I think the ability to make change, and like Dr. Hoorfar said, to solve a problem. So one thing that engineering definitely has taught me is how to solve a problem. And so I went into civil engineering, but I actually work in oil and gas now, and they're two very different industries. But in general, the overall education I received at UBCO taught me how to approach any problem kind of the same way I would approach a civil engineering problem. And so I think what inspires me about engineering the most is, I think change, and then also the ability to kind of make a difference, but see what you've created. A lot of the times, especially for civil, let's say it's a structural project or a problem that you're trying to solve, and before you know it, you can actually see a structure, or you can see a design that you've worked so hard on kind of come to life and actually be utilized. And I think that that's really rewarding, and then it inspires you to keep going. And it doesn't always happen with engineering. Some stuff is kind of invisible, but I think for the most part, when you can kind of tangibly see what you've created and worked so hard on, I think that inspires me to keep going.
You are muted.
Oops, thank you. So Dr. Siddiqua, what inspires you to keep going?
Okay, thank you. I think engineers, we all think alike because we work on innovation and technology, and we always see there is a home for that. So we always work on things that has application. So that part is really exciting because we are inventing, but at the same time it has some place to apply, and it has some place and we can measure the impact as well. Either it is in the classroom, either it is in my research lab. I always know I am excited because it will have a place for application. So that part is most exciting.
Shaylene?
All right. Yeah, I guess I'll just piggyback off of what they said. So for myself, what inspires me about engineering are just like the endless possibilities to create and improve technology, leadership, and ways of thinking. There's a reason Apple comes out with a new generation of phone every year, because as humans evolve, technology evolves with us. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see what the world will look like in 10 or 20 years from now.
Thank you very much. I have another question from the audience. Do you have a female role model you look up to in your respective field?
Sorry, Dr. Roberts, I didn't hear you.
Sorry, I'm getting used to muted. So, do you have a female role model you look up to in your respective field? Starting with Dr. Hoorfar.
Yeah, I was very lucky when I immigrated to Canada to see many credible people in engineering, and I have a few. In our campus also, we have great role model. To be honest, I wanted to mention when I joined the School of Engineering, Dr. Roberts, you were always my role model. We worked together. So I joined as a junior faculty member. Dr. Roberts was the chair of the civil program. And I still remember the first proposal that we did together. So I was very lucky to be mentored with great people. I'm not saying that if there was a male faculty, I wouldn't do it, but having a female successful faculty member that I could collaborate really helped me to continue my work at UBCO Okanagan. And right now also in our leadership in the UBCO Okanagan, we have wonderful leaders, our provost, our DVC. So these are the people that I look up to. They may not be engineers, but doesn't matter.
Thank you very much. And I too remember the first proposal out in the trailers. And so, Shaylene, do you have a woman you look up to?
Yeah, I definitely do. Like within my company, and within my department. Yeah, there's a lot of great women that work for my company. They've done a really good job of, hiring women and, kind of working with them to get them into those leadership positions. And I love working with them.
Thank you very much. I would like to say this is one question that I didn't actually have a woman role model when I was a new faculty member, but I can say that I had some very, very good male role models. They were excellent researchers and excellent teachers. And so our role model, it's nice to have a woman, someone who looks like me, but you can still manage to use males as role models too. So who have I not asked? Dr. Siddiqua?
Oh yeah, thank you. There are so many role models in our school. So starting with Dr. Mina Hoorfar, what she has been doing is amazing. And of course, Dr. Roberts, what Dr. Hoorfar already mentioned. And I also look up to Dr. Bonnie Henry because nowadays she's always on TV. And I find, the way she speaks and she connects with the whole community, this is something to learn from. It doesn't have to be someone from your own field, but you can always take from someone else and get the information you need to improve and learn and modify and understand how you will be connecting with the society.
Sabrina, would you like to share any thoughts on a role model?
Sure. So similarly, when I was in kind of doing my summer terms, my direct mentor was a man, and he's a lovely man, and we're still very close today. He actually came to my Iron Ring ceremony. And same thing, I would say that the biggest female role models I had would have been all the female professors, such as you lovely three. And Sumi was my capstone professor, so I got to work closely with her and I really enjoyed that. So it's good to see women in kind of higher levels of authority and with such distinguished educational backgrounds and still doing great research and putting out really cool projects. It's nice to see them kind of in action instead of just hearing about them by reading about them. So that's what I would say is all my female professors at UBC.
Well, thank you very much. I think we have a stacked audience here. So So here's a very interesting question. I recently got accepted into UBC engineering, but I also got accepted at a different university for a different program. I am debating which offer to accept. Why should I pick engineering? And I think this is one reason to have this type of webinar, so we can give you information to help you make your choice. So actually, I think, Sabrina, would you like to answer this question as someone who's a recent graduate yourself?
I would love to. I think that UBCO is very unique in the sense that every professor, every faculty member makes you feel like you as an individual matter. Like you're not just a number, and that was my experience. And they really want you to succeed. So they always put out their office hours. And if you go, like they will make sure you do a good job. And I've spent countless hours in several profs' office hours just because, you know, something's not clicking or whatever, but they don't stop. They don't shoo you out the door. They will wait and work through it with you. They will come in outside of their office hours to help you. And then I think also kind of the sense of community that the students sort of create for each other is really great as well. And I don't know if the UBC you got accepted to is Kelowna or Vancouver, but if it's Kelowna, you will not find a better place to live. So I don't know, that's my bias, but I had a really great experience and I would recommend it to anybody.
Sorry, can I chime in now on this? Okay. So I was actually asked this question by one of my younger cousins like a few weeks ago. Yeah, she got into the human kinetics program at UBCO, but now, you know, a couple months before her start date, she's hesitant about whether she wants to do human kinetics because she was actually on the fence about engineering and also nursing. So essentially what I told her to do, I mean, she's committed to human kinetics this year. What I told her to do is do research into each program, which I know she should have maybe already done ahead of time. Yeah, so do research into each of them, you know, write out lists of, you know, areas that you want to specialize in within those, because once you do choose what you want to go into, you do need to specialize. And then look at your list and like you'll feel which one gravitates towards you and choose that one. That's my best advice.
Went the wrong way. Thank you very much. So I know Dr. Siddiqua and Dr. Hoorfar can give you many reasons why to come here, but it might sound like we're being a little self-serving. So I think I would like to leave that question there, but I will say, for me, follow your heart, and I think it's what Shaylene said. Something will speak to you, and listen to it, and go that way. We have one more question, which I don't even have an answer to. Do you have any favorite books or podcasts you can suggest in respect to this topic, assuming this topic being women in engineering? Dr. Hoorfar, do you have any books or podcasts that you listen to?
That's a good question, because all my days are filled with meetings and I have no time to look at any podcasts or books. I leave it to our younger generation to answer that question. I'm really sorry. I feel really bad and guilty here.
Dr. Siddiqua?
Yeah, there is a podcast from the University of Cambridge based on these women in engineering. Every year they come up with some of their, it's not a podcast, but video clips, so they can find it online. But I would suggest that the Women in Engineering newsletters is a big good place to look into. It gives a detail about in the region what is going on, what kind of women are acting, in which field they are acting, what are the opportunities for women in the field. So that could be a good place to look into.
I also have a suggestion. SFU has a podcast. I think if you look up best of the WWEST under podcast and Spotify, you'll find it. So WEST stands for West Coast Women in Engineering, Science and Technology. So I think that's another good option.
Yeah, they have the newsletter too. That's what I mentioning. Yeah, correct.
Thank you very much. And I think at the end, we'll be giving you some links to the School of Engineering. And I think those are good things we might add to our Women in Engineering webpage once we round up a few of those resources. So that's an excellent question. So one more question from attendees. How are the class sizes at UBCO? How small are they? Are there a lot of women at UBCO Engineering? Dr. Hoorfar, can I ask you to give a few statistics?
Yeah, I think I can answer that. So when Sabrina and Shaylene, they attended our school, it was smaller, the size of the classes. Of course, we have grew since then. However, we still kept that intimate and family-oriented environment that they were referring to. I'm really happy to report that. So what we did, we have our classes in 2 sections to make them smaller. We might have to go to 3 sections to make sure that the students getting that, the kind of guidance and help from the professor that they need. But also we have our tutorial much smaller than many universities, so we kept them small so the student can interact with the TAs if they have any questions. What are the sizes? Our first cohort usually is around 365 to 380. So we split the classes into 2, 180 per class. As I mentioned, if we go bigger, which I don't think so, but we might in future think about splitting in 3 sections. Now, what are the percentage? When I took over the role as a director, I think our average of the women in engineering were 12%. 12-13%. Now we are 17%, has grown. Of course, this type of webinar and education for our female high school students are very important to even further make it bigger group of students.
So I have another question, which is one I've heard a lot. I really enjoy math and science, but I haven't decided what I want to do yet. I've been thinking about engineering, but don't know if it's right for me. What advice do you have for deciding about engineering? Lots of people tell me that I shouldn't do engineering because it's too hard. Dr. Siddiqua, would you like to address that?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Roberts. If you are good at math and science, you are already dealing with hard topics in your subject, all the subjects you are taking. So engineering cannot be harder than that. But engineering is more about time management, how to handle your, all the classes you're taking, how to handle and prepare for those classes. So more about learning how to organize your time properly so that you can give your time for each subject you are taking, each courses you are taking, then you will be able to achieve the best results at the end. And also we are here to teach our hard courses, make sure that all the students in the classroom understand what we are trying to teach them. So we will be teaching you how to methodologically learn the problem you are learning in the classroom. And if you have passion for your science and in math, you always should look for engineering as an option for your future career.
And I'll add one thing that for that one, what moves a lot of students and a lot of parents is that with an engineering degree is a professional degree. And so you are set up better for getting a job right out of when you graduate. And the passion that most people have talked about when you're working in an area where you know you can make a difference. And engineers are not paid terribly. And so it's the idea that you can graduate with a 4-year degree, which you could do in 5 years if you want, and get a decent job right off the bat where you're making a difference is something that a lot of people like. But Dr. Siddiqua said it, you already like the hard subjects or the subjects that most people find hard. And we do have a 5-year program. if time management is challenging for you. But I think you already like the hard stuff. So that would be what, does anyone else have anything?
I can say, as Dr. Roberts and Dr. Siddiqua mentioned, is more than just science and math. Those are the tools that great you have them. So you're already, your foot is inside the room. But what we teach you, and this is something that you might like to know, how to access the innovation part of your brain. And if you are the person you like to think outside the box and you like to be innovative, we teach you, and this is the career for you. And I believe everybody can be innovative if they know where in their brain section to access that. And this is what maybe the hard part of the engineering comes through different assignments, different group projects. We're trying to trigger that part. So I wouldn't say it's hard because the math or science, of course, you have the tools, that's great. I think the hard part is that to get used to knowing that where the innovation comes in your brain. And after you go second year, third year, although the workload increases, but it becomes easier for you. So that's why, because you already know how to access the information, process them, and solve the problem.
Thank you, Dr. Hoorfar. So we have another question. I've been to both campuses of UBC, and I really am interested in the student club, Women in Engineering. However, I found it really hard to get involved in WE this year at UBCO due to the lack of events. And I didn't notice that many this year either. Are there any other groups you suggest I can join to increase networking? Sabrina?
So, kind of irrelevant to UBC specifically, but there's a group called Young Women in Energy, and they're based out of Calgary, which I'm a part of. So it connects kind of all the women who are in kind of the oil and gas or environmental spaces or consulting services. And it's really helpful, and they do really fun things. They put on golf tournaments or even golf workshops so that women can be more included in kind of things that men like to do in a male-dominated industry, like go play in golf tournaments and things like that. So it's really helpful. So I would just encourage you to look up.
You accidentally muted.
Where did it stop?
Look up.
Look up groups in your kind of local area that you can see that maybe there's something similar to Young Women in Energy, but maybe it's Young Women in Construction or something like that if you were interested in civil engineering, and maybe it's local to the Okanagan, and then you could do kind of some similar things, or maybe start one. That's a really innovative thing that you could do, is start a group that you feel like is missing.
Shaylene?
I was just going to say there's also the engineering sorority. I know they, really try to do their best to, recruit first year engineering girls and host events like monthly, bi-weekly. I did it my first year, and I'm still friends with quite a few of the girls that I met in the first year. So yeah, that's another option.
Thank you. Dr. Siddiqua?
Yeah, I was just saying that EGBC, that Engineering and Geosciences of British Columbia, they have their seminars or workshops, events for female engineers in the British Columbia region who are working there. And they sometimes have events for engineering students, and you can always connect with them. And that could be another good place to look into.
Yes, and EGBC also has a mentoring program that you have to access it through them. And so there are options. And one of the things I've noticed with a long time, the student groups are active depending on the students. And so when an active group gets together, they have lots of events and they do things, and it'll go in cycles. And so if you want to be active, don't hesitate being a little bit of a spur. Say, hey, let's have more things. Don't hesitate being an active member of whichever club you want to join. And I know there's several, not specifically just for women, but there's also civil engineering, mechanical engineering. There's a lot of student clubs that you can join. We're getting close to the end of our time. So our last question, or maybe last, we might have a little bit more. I'm unsure of what I want to specialize into, and I've been told that my classes and exposure will help me decide. That was good. So my question for you is, why did you choose the specialty you did, mechanical, civil, etc., and what helped influence that decision? Dr. Siddiqua.
This is pretty nice for our school because we have common first and second year courses mostly. So in the first and second year, you know, all mechanical, electrical, civil, manufacturing engineers, engineering programs, all the students are taking courses, same courses. And when you are taking those courses, you will be interacting with your instructors and also about the subject. Then you will be able to find out where you find more interest, where you find which subject you feel like you want to spend more time. So that means that will create passion in you. So that will help you to choose which area you want to move on to. So I would always suggest that this is important when you are taking your first, second year courses. You should pay attention to all the details so that you don't regret in future that I choose the wrong discipline for my career. So that's always interesting. And also you have to look for when you are looking at outside world, what part of the world is more exciting for you? Are you excited to see, you know, when you are driving from Kelowna to Vancouver, the roads, how they build those roads? Are you excited to see those? Or you are excited to see an electric vehicle? So this is how should be triggering you in your mind, you know, which type of engineering you should be studying.
Shaylene, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, sure. I can, I guess, speak on my own personal experience. So the reason I chose electrical engineering was because I always enjoyed like circuit theory and just solving those kind of problems. And then like, I guess, bigger picture, I knew that it could lead to a career, you know, in like biotechnology, like the energy sector, like the automotive industry, you know, software, hardware engineering, like I just looked into, I guess, like my career options, and that really helped me decide why I wanted to do electrical engineering.
Sabrina? Did we lose Sabrina? There you are.
You're muted, Sabrina.
I'm having no luck here, you guys. I think to just choose a discipline that you find most interesting, because when you're interested in it, you will put the time in that's required to succeed, and then you'll also feel passionate about what you're doing and what you're learning. That's my answer.
Thank you. Before I ask Dr. Hoorfar, I wanted to say the one special thing about my career or my journey, my interest came because a professor told a joke in a microbiology class, and he told a joke about how to clean up an oil spill. And I can't tell jokes, so I won't repeat it because I'm terrible at jokes. But this is why I chose, the light bulb went off. I was gonna go clean up oil spills. I don't actually clean up oil spills because they were cleaned up by the time I was done. We knew how to do it. I clean up other things that we don't know how to do. So I say, listen to the thing that's going to give you your light bulb. You have to be open to accepting that input that's going to get you all excited. Dr. Hoorfar, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, I chose mechanical because it's a very broad area of engineering. It's something between electrical, civil, chemical, computer. Is very broad, so I could change my specialization if I wanted to. So, and it's not just about mechanical. You will see that, for example, right now, Sabrina, she graduated from civil engineering, but she found the job in oil and gas. So she could switch her hat and go to the oil and gas. And that's why, as Dr. Siddiqua mentioned, that the beauty of the engineering program, especially ours, is that you learn all of the common engineering courses to make your decision what you wanted to go. But even if you graduate from one type of discipline, later on you wanted to go to something else with additional reading or taking, auditing some classes for yourself online, you definitely can easily go and do that job as well. So that is the beauty of engineering. So for me, it was mechanical. Right now I'm passionate about bio, so I'm biomedical. I have had no understanding of medicine, but I pick it up and my research is in that area. So you can switch right, here and there, because as I said again, and I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, the skills we're teaching you, you learn how to solve the problem, no matter what engineering discipline you are.
Thank you very much. I think we have a couple questions I'd love to get to, and instead of having everybody answer them, we'll just have one person answer these last ones. So, because we are running out of time. There was one that just left about, do professors, how do you get involved in research? And I'll quickly answer that one. All three of us have big undergrad research programs. And so I usually like students to come to me in first year with their interest, of course, if they're interested, because then I can train them up and keep them around for 3 or 4 years. And so we are open. Most of the professors in the Okanagan are open to undergraduate students. So this one, how about Dr. Siddiqua? Is it ever difficult to remain confident as a woman in engineering, as far as academics, starting a career path, etc.? If so, tips on how to find/maintain your confidence.
You will feel in so many different times that you are working in a profession where it is a male-dominated profession, whether you are working in the academia, as an academia, or you are working in industry. So you have to always interact with female colleagues. Some of them are very nice, honestly. I'm not talking about my colleagues, I'm talking about, I hear from industry that some of them are, sometimes it's come across very rude. So sometimes you feel like you have been ignored, someone is, the people are not listening to you. So I would always say, don't give up. Because you always have to keep up doing what you are doing, as long as you know that you are the best. As long as you know that your answer is correct, because you always have to understand your problem, you have to always understand the solution, and if you come up with your solution, you have to always make a path towards communicating that problem. Because I have been always like to work in the background, but then I realized if I keep working in the background, then people will not learn or understand that I have some ideas to share. When I have realized that, I started to sharing, communicating, and it took me quite some time to get into a point where I confidently can convey my message. So keep working towards it.
Thank you. Dr. Hoorfar, do you have anything to add on that one?
I just wanted to say, Dr. Siddiqua exactly mentioned what I wanted to say. Practice, practice, practice. I have issues with confidence in every meeting I go. I cannot even breathe sometimes, but I tell myself this is another opportunity for myself to put myself out there and, as Dr. Siddiqua mentioned, share my opinion. Just practice, practice, practice. It's tough. I agree.
I'll add the same thing. And most recently, the switch to online teaching has totally rocked my boat a little bit. And you just steady it and you say, okay, this is a new thing. I put out my hands and you move forward. And the one thing though, if you're not challenging yourself, if you're not out there, I know with me, I sometimes get bored and look for something to challenge myself with. It is an uncomfortable position. And when people put you in it, like this COVID teaching online Zoom meeting thing, and my first week, I shook for 2 hours after every lecture. And I didn't understand why, because I'm just talking to a computer. But it turned out, I figured it's the lack of feedback. I wasn't seeing smiling faces of students. So I knew it was working. But so I think as you grow, you're always growing and you're always having to build up your confidence. And the same advice is don't quit just because you're shaking for 2 hours. You get over it and move on forward. I wanted to thank you so much to the panelists for sharing your valuable time and experiences. and to the attendees for your great questions. I would personally like to thank Sam and Tamara for their excellent work organizing and moderating this webinar. If you would like more information about engineering in general or the School of Engineering, please don't hesitate to contact us using the links on this slide. And there is a Women in Engineering webpage that you can reach from the School of Engineering webpage and about, and that has links to all of the bios for all of our panelists. And so I'd like to thank everyone for attending, and I hope you all have a great International Women in Engineering Day.